The Rip City Drive.
Very happy to go to the phones. This guy here is a good friend of the show. The man behind BlazersEdge.com. It's Dave Deckard back with us. Dave, as always, a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. I think what Blazer fans want to know with this NBA memo that came out in regards to Dame and Aaron Goodwin, his agent, they want to know if it benefits Portland when it comes to trading Dame. What's your take on that?
Well, only marginally. Look, this whole thing had the vibe of dad turning to the kids in the back seat and saying, "Don't make me pull this car over." I don't think the league cares if Damian Lillard goes to Miami. If you remember when Chris Paul was traded back in 2011, he said, "I'm only going to Los Angeles." He was sent to Los Angeles. The first trade was to the Lakers. That didn't go through. And then he went to the Clippers, literally right next door. And the owner of the New Orleans Hornets at that time was the National Basketball Association. They literally brokered a single or at least single city deal for one of their own superstars. I don't think they care if Dame is a member of the Heat. What they don't want is to be embarrassed. And what they especially don't want in the wake of the whole Ben Simmons thing that's been going on in the last couple of years is a superstar player, a max player, threatening to not honor his contract. And that's basically what they talked about. Watch how you communicate. Make sure you don't say that you're not going to play. But here's the thing. They don't have to. You know, all you have to do is ask Aaron Goodwin, "Hey, will Dame play for us?" And Aaron shrugs his shoulders, and right? In fact, the league already knows where Dame wants to play. You almost don't have to ask the question. So the horse is out of the barn on that one. I don't think it helps in this particular situation. The NBA is just establishing parameters saying, look, first of all, you guys hush up. And second of all, when anybody does this again, make sure that you don't do it in a way that appears to invalidate or hurt the league.
So, Dave, do you think any other team will make an offer to the Blazers?
Sure, if they think Dame will play for them. And, that part we don't definitively know. I mean, Dame prefers to go to Miami. I think we're pretty sure about that. Everything else is a little bit sketchy. My take on it is, if Dame only wants to go to Miami, that's where he's still going. If he had other options, quietly, second or third options, those are still open. This memo doesn't change that, and if one of those teams is interested in him and makes a good offer, they'll find a way to make it done or get it done. But it still depends on what it always depended on, which is simply what Damian Lillard wants.
Why does it – I mean, the commissioners come out and said, if you get traded, you have to go play. He's got 4 years left on a deal. Why does it depend? I mean, how does that play out, Dave? Do you expect him to go to a team he doesn't want to go to and then not play hard? I mean, it seems to me Damian Lillard, he's so image conscious. He's conscious of how he is perceived. He'd go wherever and play, and he'd just have to live with it, right?
Well, he's not going to sit out. We know that because part of the reason that he probably wants to go to Miami is the tax break, which is going to save him about $21 million over the course of his contract. Well, that's half a year. If he sits out half a year, he's lost the financial advantage of going there, and it only gets worse from there. So we know he's going to play. But come on. If you are getting a 33-year-old superstar who is well established in this league that you owe $210 million to, you are not going to bring that guy on board and spend that money unless you're sure you're getting 100% the authentic product. And, Dame's value is not as automatic as it was 2 years ago. It's still very, very high, but it's not a no-brainer. It's not a we win no matter what. If he gets injured, if he doesn't play hard, if he falls off because of age, there are 1,000 things that could happen. You want to eliminate as many of those as you could, and I don't think any sane owner outside of maybe if you're the Lakers or something like that, a marquee franchise that can do no wrong, I don't see anybody else going, I'm investing $210 million in this guy until he's 36 in order to take a gamble. I want it to be sure, and therefore I'm not taking him unless I know.
But again, Dave, I'd say the same thing. What you're saying, I mean, he's going to play hard. It's Damian Lillard. He's going to play hard. What's he going to do? Not play defense? Well, that's the way he's played his whole career. I mean, I just don't see that that whole thing about a disgruntled player and not playing, I don't see it applying to him in this situation. I think you're going to get him. You're going to get the Damian Lillard, who could get hurt at the age of 33 for sure. But the rest of those things, he's going to play wherever he goes because he has to, right?
Maybe, but keep in mind, he's a point guard and he's a scorer.
Yeah.
And you say defense has been a deficiency. Sure, that's one of the things that he needed to make up in Portland if they were ever going to contend. It never happened for Portland, and it never happened for Lillard. But if you're the next team, it goes, okay, let's say you're Minnesota. I mean, God forbid. So you're going, I'm getting Dame. Okay, well, what Dame are you getting? Because you can get a Dame that scores 35 a night by taking all the shots, and no one can argue with him a bit. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's very good for Damian Lillard, by the way.
Right.
It's not as good for your team. All right. If he goes to Miami, he's going to have to adjust. Miami can be reasonably sure he will do that. If he went to the Timberwolves, I don't think they can be reasonably sure that he will do that if he doesn't want to be there. So you have to have at least something of that chemistry and desire to be right, especially with his position, his skill set, and his cachet around the league. Now, I tend to agree with you. If any star is going to do this, Lillard will be one of the ones that will be okay doing it. But I still, again, as an owner, I don't think I'm going to take that risk if I'm not very, very sure that he's going to do everything we need in order to succeed.
We're talking with Dave Deckard from BlazersEdge.com. Do you think that the memo will deter agents and stars in the future of making public demands about specific teams that they want to play for when they come out to ask for a trade?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that it will go back channel like it always has. If anything, Dame has been a little over-communicative throughout his career. It has sometimes bit him a little bit, and he's had to pull it back in. This may be one of those things. But look, I mean, here's the long and short of this. Do you think LeBron James is going to be traded anywhere LeBron James doesn't want to go? The answer is no. As long as you admit that, then we're just somewhere on a scale of how close to LeBron James you are. It's possible that Dame and his agent thought they were a little closer to LeBron's status than they actually were. This memo may establish their place on that spectrum a little bit more, that you can't be quite so noisy and demanding about it. But it doesn't kick him off the scale. He's still in that group of people who can write his own ticket, and I think superstars are going to continue to do that. It's just a matter of how publicly and how much you get away with.
It's Dave Deckard, BlazersEdge.com, here on the Rip City Drive. All right, so what are we looking at in the future here? A couple of years in the lottery, or what do you make of what's taken place so far this offseason?
Hard to say. I mean, that's likely that they're not going to succeed, but a lot of it depends on what you get back for Dame. So look, let's say Brooklyn does open up. Okay. Are there possibilities there of getting a young player and getting a lot of draft picks? Well, that rebuild is accelerated then. Let's say Scoot Henderson plays out of his head and Shaedon Sharpe all of a sudden becomes an actual NBA basketball player. Well, now you're at least 2/5 of the way. Well, Jeremy Grant would make it 3/5 of the way to a lower level playoff contender, which is pretty much where you were when Dame left. So the rebuild doesn't necessarily have to be long. It probably will be, but it doesn't have to be. The problem for the Blazers right now is until they get this deal done, they don't know where they're going, and they're bringing back, it's like a lame duck presidency. If Damian Lillard walks onto that training camp floor and on opening night, he's going to occupy the gravity, the attention, the spotlight, everything, and those young guys won't even begin to blossom and flourish until that situation is taken care of. Step one is getting Dame moved so that you have room to grow, and then step two is seeing what you can grow with.
If they don't have him traded by training camp, Dave, do you think they would play him in a game?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, how can you not? You've been
well, he
part
could
of this
get
longer
hurt.
Than any of us.
The big thing is he could get hurt, and then you wouldn't be able to trade him.
Yeah, I still don't think you could do this. I mean, you remember the zoo around LaMarcus Aldridge when his contract was coming up, and how much of the time that occupied until all of a sudden Aldridge's camp and the Blazers said, no more questions. You know, we are done with this topic till the end of the year. That would be a candle beside the sun of Damian Lillard either not playing or half playing or whatever. They're going to have to make it as normal as possible. Now, maybe you don't run him out there for 48 minutes, But yeah, I don't think that they can have him sit at home. I don't think they can have him come off the bench. I don't think they can have him do anything but be Dame and be as normal as possible to, limit that distraction and make sure that he remains happy, the team remains sane, and they can actually function. It's a bad situation, which is why they're going to want to move him, for a decent deal if they can get it before this becomes a question.
All right. He's on Twitter at Dave Deckard. He is the man behind the Blazer site, blazersedge.com. Hey, Dave, I hope you're enjoying your summer, man. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk with you, buddy.
Well, it's been an interesting summer, that's for sure. No shortage of things to write about. So hopefully this gets done. But I think the priority list is, first of all, get the right deal, then get it done as soon as you can.
All right. That sounds good, buddy. We'll talk soon.